Listen, before anything ever happened for me, before the awards, before the movies, before anyone knew my name, I was preparing in silence, preparing in faith. I didn't know what was coming, but I believed something was. You see, you don't wait until the opportunity shows up to get ready. You stay ready, because the door that's meant for you will only open if you're prepared to walk through it. So the question is, are you doing the work, even when nobody's watching? Faith is what got me here. Not just faith in myself, but faith in God, faith in purpose. Faith that what's for me is already written. See, people often look at success like it's just hard work and talent. But I'm telling you, none of that matters if you don't believe before you see. That's what faith is. Faith is preparing for something you can't see, don't understand, and can't explain. I didn't grow up thinking I'd be a movie star. No, I was just trying to make it out, just trying to figure life out. But there was something in me, something that told me to keep going, even when I had no idea what was waiting for me on the other side. I remember when I was 20, sitting in my mother's beauty salon, just another kid with no direction. And this woman looks at me and says, "You're going to travel the world and speak to millions." I didn't believe her. I laughed it off. What was I doing that would make anyone think that? But I never forgot those words. Not because I understood them, but because they touched something deep inside me. I wasn't ready to receive it, but the seed was planted. And that's the thing about faith. It doesn't always make sense. It doesn't show you the full picture, but it gives you enough to move. So I started moving. I started preparing. Even when I had no idea what I was preparing for. I studied, I trained, I worked on my craft, and I prayed. I prayed a lot. Not because I had it all figured out, but because I didn't. I needed guidance. I needed strength. And every time I wanted to quit, faith reminded me, keep going. Even when the door is closed, even when they don't call back, even when you feel forgotten. Keep going, because the opportunity is already written. You just haven't reached it yet. People ask me all the time, how did you know this was for you? The truth is, I didn't. I had no blueprint. I had no guarantees. What I had was discipline. What I had was prayer. What I had was a quiet belief that I was meant for more, even when my circumstances said otherwise. I didn't wait until someone gave me permission to be great. I didn't wait until someone discovered me. I decided to act like the door would open one day, and I worked like that could come at any time. Faith made me show up. Faith made me speak up. Faith made me get up after every failure, every rejection, every disappointment. Because I knew this, if I wasn't prepared when the opportunity came, I'd lose it. And I wasn't about to let that happen. So I treated every small role, every audition, every class like it was the one. I prepared when nobody was clapping. I prepared when the room was empty. Because faith doesn't wait for the lights. Faith builds in the dark. There were moments I doubted, moments I cried, moments I almost walked away. But every time I went back to that moment in the beauty salon, I remembered the voice that said, I would speak to millions. And slowly, piece by piece, it started to come together. Not all at once, not with fanfare. Just one quiet yes at a time. That's how purpose works. It shows up when you've done the work, when you've trusted the process, when you've walked by faith and not by sight. So when people ask me what I've learned, I tell them this: don't wait to believe in yourself. Don't wait until the opportunity is visible. You prepare now. You build now. You trust now, even if nobody sees it, even if nobody understands it, because faith isn't loud. It's steady. It's silent. It's showing up day after day, believing that your moment is coming. Even if you don't know when, even if you don't know how. That's how you prepare for the opportunity you can't see yet. That's how you win. That's how I made it. You know, people only see the spotlight, the awards, the speeches, the headlines, but they don't see the days I showed up when no one else did. The hours I spent in a quiet room, rehearsing lines to the walls, the auditions where they looked right through me like I wasn't even there. You want to know how I got here? Consistency. Day in and day out, I kept showing up when the world told me to sit down. I kept preparing like the opportunity was right around the corner, even when I couldn't see it. I didn't need applause to keep going. I didn't need validation. What I needed was faith. Faith that the work would pay off, even if the results weren't showing up yet. You see, when no one's watching, that's when character is built. That's when you separate yourself. That's where the real work begins. Most people want to perform when the cameras are rolling. They want to get motivated only when the lights come on. But let me tell you something. If you're not putting in the reps in the dark, don't expect to shine in the light. That's not how greatness works. Greatness is silent. It's subtle. It's slow. You don't wake up and find yourself at the top. You grind for years, and one day you look up and realize the top came to meet you. I was rejected, turned down, told I wasn't good enough, told I didn't have the look, didn't have the voice, didn't have the timing. I didn't let that define me because I understood something most people miss. The rejection is part of the preparation. Every no was just another rep, another moment to develop my patience, my resilience, my fire. I didn't let failure stop me because I wasn't chasing applause. I was chasing growth. I was chasing the man I could become if I kept showing up. That's what consistency does. It shapes you into someone who's ready before the opportunity even knocks. People think discipline is hard. But I'll tell you what's harder: regret. Looking back and knowing you could have been ready, you could have said yes to something that would have changed your life, but you didn't prepare. That's a pain I wasn't willing to carry. So I kept working. I read every script like it was my breakthrough. I treated every audition like it was the final performance. I prayed like the answer was already on the way. I trained my mind, my body, my soul, not for a specific role, but for the life I was building. That's what people don't understand. Preparation isn't about the outcome. It's about who you become in the process. When you see me now, the speeches, the success, know that it came from thousands of invisible moments. The mornings I didn't want to get up, but did anyway. The nights I stayed up with nothing but a book and a dream. The sacrifices no one will ever see. You've got to fall in love with that part. The lonely grind, the quiet hustle, that's where the fire is lit. That's where your identity is forged. And once you've built that consistency, once it's in your bones, nobody can take that from you. Opportunities come and go. Fame fades. But who you've become through the process, that's yours forever. So when you ask how to prepare for a door you can't see, it's simple. You live like it's already open. You act like it's already yours. You build habits today that will support the weight of your future tomorrow. And when that door finally shows up and you walk through it, it won't be luck. It won't be chance. It'll be the reward of consistency, of believing when it didn't make sense, of showing up when nobody cared. That's how you prepare. That's how you win. I remember the auditions that didn't go my way. I remember the doors that closed in my face. The roles I didn't get, the callbacks that never came, the people who smiled and shook my hand, but never called back. And you know what? At the time, I thought those moments were setbacks. I thought maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I wasn't ready. But now, standing here with the hindsight that only time gives you, I know better. I know those rejections were never the end. They were the preparation. They were setting me up for something bigger, something I couldn't see yet. You see, every no I heard taught me something. It pushed me. It forced me to look inward and ask myself how bad I really wanted this. It sharpened my focus. It humbled me. Because if you get everything you want the moment you want it, you never grow the muscle it takes to sustain success. Rejection was the gym I had to train in. It didn't feel good, but it made me stronger. It made me hungrier. It made me work with more intensity, more purpose, more discipline. Every time they told me no, I said to myself, all right, that just means I've got more work to do. That's something a lot of people don't understand. They think when the world turns them down, it's over. They take it personal. They quit. But I never saw rejection as the finish line. I saw it as feedback. I didn't cry about it. I adjusted. I looked at myself and said, okay, maybe I need to improve this. Maybe I need to show up stronger. Maybe I need to walk in that room like I already belong there. Because when the opportunity comes, and it will come, you can't afford to still be learning what you should have already known. You can't wait to get ready. You've got to be ready. There was a time I auditioned for a role I thought I had in the bag. I prepared. I showed up. I gave it my all, and they still passed. Someone else got it. That hurt. But looking back now, I understand. That wasn't my role. That wasn't my moment. If I had gotten that part, I wouldn't have been available to the opportunity that would change my life. Sometimes rejection isn't about what you're lacking. Sometimes it's about what you're being protected from. Sometimes it's about timing. And the truth is, I wasn't being punished. I was being prepared. Life doesn't hand you success because you want it. It hands you tools, lessons, bruises, and battles, and asks, what will you do with this? And if you're smart, you use it. You take the pain and you turn it into purpose. You take the closed door and build your own stage. You take the no and turn it into not yet. Every time I was rejected, I chose to keep walking, keep training, keep praying, keep believing. I didn't stop moving forward just because someone didn't see my value. I knew my value. I just had to stay on the path long enough for the right person to see it too. Now, people look at the awards, the accomplishments, the speeches, and they think it all came easy. They see the mountaintop but forget the climb. But I remember the struggle. I remember walking the streets with nothing but a dream and a prayer. I remember being broke, being tired, being overlooked. And I thank God for it, because that rejection, that fire, it built something in me that success never could. It gave me patience. It gave me perspective. It gave me resilience. It taught me that failure isn't final unless you quit. And I wasn't about to quit. So if you're in that season right now, the one where nothing's working, the one where doors keep closing, I want you to hear me. It's not over. You're not done. You're being set up. You're being refined. The right opportunity is out there, but you've got to become the right version of yourself to meet it. And every rejection is just another step in that process. Don't run from it. Don't resent it. Use it. Let it shape you. Let it drive you, because the truth is, rejection isn't the enemy. It's the training ground for greatness. Be so good they can't ignore you. That's not just a quote. That's a way of life. I didn't wake up one day and land a movie deal. I didn't just stumble onto a stage and deliver a performance that made people stand up and clap. No. What you saw was the result. What you didn't see was the grind, the hours, the preparation, the nights reading script after script, not because someone told me to, but because I knew deep down, if I didn't build myself in the dark, I would never shine in the light. There was a time when nobody knew my name. I walked into audition rooms and got the look. You know, the one. Like, who's this guy? And sometimes I walked out without a callback, without a nod, without a second glance. But I kept coming. Not because I was confident I'd get the part, but because I was certain that one day someone would see what I'd been building. I wasn't chasing fame. I was chasing excellence. That's the difference. And that's what too many people forget. You don't become undeniable overnight. You become undeniable when you show up so refined, so disciplined that when your moment comes, and it will, you're not just ready, you're the only real choice. You see, people often ask me, Denzel, how did you do it? How did you break through? The truth is, I never waited for permission. I didn't need someone to validate my vision. I validated it through the work, through the hours no one applauded, through the rehearsals that didn't lead to a stage, through the study that didn't promise a job. I wasn't preparing for a specific opportunity. I was preparing for all of them, even the ones I couldn't see. Because life doesn't give you a heads up when your moment arrives. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder and say, get ready, here it comes. It just happens. And if you're not already at the level, you miss it. There were times I had nothing but belief. No spotlight, no script, just faith. But I treated that belief like it was gold. I nurtured it. I protected it. And I worked like the world was already watching. That's what it means to be so good they can't ignore you. It means showing up with your best, even when there's no audience. It means pouring your soul into the process, not the praise. Because when you make excellence your standard, recognition becomes a byproduct, not the goal. I remember walking the streets of New York, broke, tired, just trying to find the next gig. But I still rehearsed. I still studied. I still asked questions. I still took notes from the greats. Because I knew I was a student of the craft. I wasn't above the work. I was inside the work. And the work was molding me, shaping me, preparing me for rooms I hadn't entered yet, for roles I hadn't read yet, for opportunities I hadn't even imagined. That's what it means to prepare for the opportunity you can't see yet. It means trusting that the process will pay off, even when the results haven't shown up. I never wanted to just be another actor. I wanted to be unforgettable. And to be unforgettable, you have to be undeniable. And to be undeniable, you have to be unstoppable in your effort. You have to train like you're already where you want to be. You have to speak like the world is listening, even when nobody is. You have to act like your moment is already here. Because when it finally shows up, you won't have time to get ready. You'll have to be ready. So I say to anyone out there grinding in silence, feeling unseen, unheard, keep going. Be so good they can't ignore you. Make it impossible to overlook you. Don't let your current situation determine your effort. Let your vision determine your effort. Let your future speak louder than your fear. Let your work become your witness. Because the world may not see you yet, but if you stay ready, it will. You have to understand something. A dream by itself is not enough. You can sit around and talk about what you want to become, what you hope happens, what you pray for. But if you're not moving your feet, if you're not sweating for it, crying for it, sacrificing for it, then that dream stays in your imagination. That's not how I did it. I didn't just dream about being on stage. I didn't just close my eyes and wish to be in front of cameras. I worked. I worked like the dream was already mine, like it was calling me and I had to answer by showing up every single day. There were no lights. There was no applause. There was no recognition. But there was me, and there was God, and there was the grind. See, people think I was lucky. They think someone gave me a shot and I ran with it. No. I built that shot. I showed up to auditions they said I'd never book. I studied scripts for roles I didn't get. I practiced monologues in my room when nobody was listening. I put the work in when there was no paycheck waiting for me at the end, because I understood, even back then, that you don't get to the top by dreaming big and doing small. You get there by showing your dream that you respect it enough to work for it. Day in, day out. There were times I wanted to quit. You better believe that. Times I looked at myself and asked, is this ever going to happen? And in those moments, I didn't lean on my feelings. I leaned on my faith. I leaned on my discipline. Because the work doesn't care how you feel. The dream doesn't adjust itself for your comfort. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. It shows up when it shows up. And if you're not prepared, it passes you by. I was preparing long before the opportunity arrived. I was building habits, building character, building stamina. Because the stage will test your character. Fame will challenge your values. The world will tempt you to forget who you are. So you better have built something solid before the spotlight hits you. I didn't want to just get there. I wanted to be ready when I did. And being ready meant working every day, like the opportunity was standing at my door, knocking, even when it wasn't. You have to ask yourself, am I just dreaming or am I working? There's a difference. Dreams feel good. They make you smile. But the work doesn't always feel good. The work hurts. The work isolates you. The work tests your patience and humbles your ego. But the work pays you back. With growth, with purpose, with results. You don't get to skip the work and still collect the reward. I remember walking home broke. I remember sleeping in places that didn't feel like home. I remember eating when I could and skipping meals when I had to. But I never skipped the work. I never skipped the preparation. Because even when I didn't have money, I had a mission. Even when I didn't have opportunity, I had a routine. You've got to feed your dream with discipline. You've got to protect it with sacrifice. You've got to water it with action, not just emotion. So if you're sitting there with a dream, wondering why it hasn't come true yet, check your habits. Check your discipline. Are you treating your dream like a job or like a hobby? Because I promise you, opportunity will come knocking. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but it will come. And when it does, it won't wait for you to get ready. It'll open that door for the person who already is, the one who's been showing up in the dark, the one who's been doing the work no one sees. That's who the dream belongs to. That's who success finds. Not the dreamer, the worker.